So as a part of one of the largest law enforcement investigations into non-familial child exploitation in the United Kingdom, Operation Stovewood, which has been going on since 2014, has been covering the 1,400 children in Rotherham that were victims of sexual abuse between the years of 1997 to 2013. This is something that many people know about, and they know about it because of how it was reported, which, for the sake of giving credit for actually raising awareness to this, it should go to Andrew Norfolk of The Times, who did a fantastic job breaking this story, which is one of the most heinous ones, and since then there have been many others that have come out, some of which we have spoken of very recently on this channel. Now, the most recent case for this got another 7 people convicted, adding the total number of those being convicted of child sex offences to 21, with 24 people having been charged additionally to this. Now, the most recent people who have been convicted are these men here. Do you see a connection much like the similar one from last week? I just can't put my elongated tentacle hand on it. It's a real conundrum. Now, the men from left to right, Iqlaq Yusuf, Nabil Khurshid, Mohammed Imran Ali Akhtar, Tanwir Ali, Salah Ahmed El Akham, and Asif Ali, ought to give them their correct and very British names because they're from Rotherham and South Yorkshire totes. Foreign, 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 foreign. Did I say foreign 7 times? Like it matters, these colossal bellends have been charged with child sex offences as a part of a rather large investigation that has been going on since 2014. Now, for obvious reasons, this investigation is being run by the National Crime Agency. You can all safely assume it would not be the Met, because they can't be trusted to actually do their damn job, or any local police enforcement because, let's face it, they're afraid of being called racist. With this investigation being ongoing, there are currently 150 officers working on this operation, with plans to recruit an additional 100, just to give you the scope of the situation. A year, this will cost £15 million to run, so you would expect they have quite a lot of evidence to sift through and a lot of people who are of interest to them in regards to this heinous crime. Hopefully, all are captured and all are summarily locked up. I think we all know what my position on this is. Or, to put an idea out there that was posited to me in a comment yesterday, when are we going to get Judge Punisher? No ISO cube required. You do have to wonder how many more times crimes like this can be brought up before the straw finally breaks the camel's back and people finally start to do the one thing people are truly afraid of doing. No, no, no. Not blackface on a tube, because that's not racist. I mean talk about Islam, because this is an issue that needs to be spoken of. I did notice my friend Griffix put on her Instagram an interesting lecture that's going to take place about talking about Islam and the future of tolerance, which is quite an interesting discussion between Sam Harris and Majid Nawaz. That, though, is a discussion for another time, so we won't dawdle on that and instead go back to this article on the BBC. Now, as cliché as this is, the men used alcohol, drugs, threats and violence to control the girls, which isn't a surprise. Young, impressionable girls who usually are quite vulnerable, we've talked about this at length, are who they isolate and then who they violate. So I want to now cover the convictions for what each of these men got, and then I want to address the Sexual Offences Act of 2003, so we can then sentence them ourselves because their sentences aren't being mentioned here yet, as they are not due to be sentenced until November 16th, which means we have plenty of time to theorise what their sentences should be. But based on previous sentences, I don't hold out much hope that these sentences will be accurate, and I will raise a question after this about grooming and sentencing. So, for Mohammed Imran Ali Akhtar of Godstone Road, Rotherham, he was found guilty of 1 rape, 1 charge of aiding and abetting rape, 3 indecent assaults, 1 charge of procuring a girl under 21 to have unlawful sexual intercourse with another, and 1 additional sexual assault. Nabil Khurshid was found guilty of 2 rapes and 1 indecent assault. Iqlaq Yusuf was found guilty of 2 rapes and 2 indecent assaults. Tanwir Ali was found guilty of 2 rapes and 2 indecent assaults and 1 charge of false imprisonment. Salah Ahmed El Akham was found guilty of 1 rape. Asif Ali was found guilty of 2 indecent assaults. and the 7th defendant, who cannot be named, I assume because he is underage, was found guilty of 2 rapes. The moment that fucker turns 18, he's going on blast. Now, to understand something of interest, I want to talk about grooming and the nature of sentencing. Because in this country we have people who are in prison and just stay in prison, even though they have not committed a truly heinous crime. They've been violent. And it makes me wonder if with sentencing a similar idea should be put forward. And I'm only putting this out there as an idea, that if you repeatedly commit a crime, or you've been proven to have committed a crime repeatedly, should you be denied your freedom? Much like those, Charles Bronson being a perfect example of someone who could get out of prison if he could stop being a violent cunt. Should you then be denied the right to leave prison? I know it's a false equivalence to compare Charles Bronson to these guys, and Charles Bronson would kill them. There's no denying it. He would kill them. But it does make me wonder whether with certain crimes, and they are proven to have happened repeatedly, if you should just stay in prison. I only say this because, and we have to go to the Sex Offences Act of 2003, the sentences on a number of these instances don't quite seem adequate. So perhaps we should now address them. So first of all, we have to look at sexual activity with a child, where a person aged 18 or over commits an offence if he intentionally touches another person B, the touching is sexual, and either B is under 16 and A does not reasonably believe that B is 16 or over, or B is under 13. The rest of the scenarios in this leading up to the sentence that it mandates involve penetration and the scenarios concerning that. But unless subsection 2 applies, a person guilty of an offence under this section is liable on summary conviction to imprisonment of a term not exceeding 6 months, or on conviction on indictment to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 14 years. By all means tell me in the comments below if you believe 14 years is enough, considering some of these people have raped more than one child. If it's 14 years per child, perhaps we have something to talk about. The next one we need to look at is meeting a child following sexual grooming, where a person aged 18 or over commits an offence if A, the person aged 18 or over, has met or communicated with another person, B, on more than one occasion, and subsequently A intentionally meets B, a travel with the intention of meeting B in any part of the world or arranges to meet B in any part of the world, or B travels with the intention of meeting A in any part of the world. The rest of the scenarios play out, basically explaining various different ways that A and B could possibly go to meet each other, along with accepting the fact that if B is under 16 then yes, this is grooming. The sentence for this includes a term not exceeding 6 months or a fine, or on conviction on indictment to imprison for a term not exceeding 10 years. Now last week I covered a number of the cases, quite a few, in fact 20 I believe in total, people who were convicted, and they were convicted of, for the most part, for child sex offences, but the sentences were remarkably lenient on quite a number of the cases. Almost felt as if they got a lesser sentence because they committed a crime with a drug, and somehow that took precedent over the sex offence, which utterly baffled me. But there were a number of them that were sentenced for lengthy periods of time. Granted, the majority of my viewers, you lovely people, hello, will accept and did in fact say that these sentences were not enough. Many calling for death penalties, many calling for, well, a lot of nasty things actually. In the Child Sex Offences Act of 2003 there is no mention of a life imprisonment term for repeated offences, which makes me wonder if perhaps something like that should be added, considering the nature of this crime. I'm only putting this out there as an idea, because I'm not entirely sure how something like that could be implemented, but considering the depth of the investigation for Stovewood, and many other investigations into child sex offences, including, I believe, U-Tree, #defund the BBC, because you ruined Doctor Who for. Although the intro music's nice, I'll give you that. The fact is, these investigations into child sex offences, which are horrific, and it is showing a remarkable depth, the rabbit hole appears to be very, very deep, to the point where you have to wonder if the law needs to be changed, because I don't believe these people can be reformed. Someone can say they will and possibly should be able to be reformed. That's a discussion for far smarter people. I'm just here to get morally outraged because I'm a bellend. Okay, maybe I'm not a bellend. But before we finish, I do want to ask what you think the sentences for these 7 men should be. I will link any and all sources related to this, including the initial investigation, and the original article that broke the story. But before we finish, I want to touch on something that I fell for. See, in 3 years on YouTube, there have been Poes. There was one a few years ago called Lanzanet. He managed to trick a lot of people, and he did it by being the most cliché bedroom feminist imaginable. Now, he admitted, after many people responded to him, myself not included, that it was a Poe. Over the years, there have been many Poes. Most recent one was the bleach on manspreading true users train people, and I admit I fell for that. I was alerted yesterday that Cult of Dusty had done a video and he had mentioned myself and many others as being morally outraged or whatever. I don't recall being morally outraged, but I will admit I was wrong. Thank you for noticing me, by the way, Dusty. I didn't know you still make content, so it's nice to know you're still about. I'm also glad you're not doing the white beard thing. Do you still say logic? Anyway, I was wrong. My bad. I will try my best not to fall for such things in the future, so I hope everyone has a lovely Tuesday regardless of the gloomy nature of this video, and thank you all for listening.
Oh, goddowns.
In your arse.
Imagine my shock